Hello, beautiful people. I wanted to get on here and do a quick video about what a macro is. Now, we are used to counting calories, and they typically, I think it was almost on every the back of every box or package is a 2,000 calorie diet, and that is such a general guideline that we are not going to really pay any attention to. What I want you to get so good at is looking at macros. What is a macro? That's protein, carbohydrate, or a fat. So, a couple of examples of protein, which you probably already know, is chicken, turkey, beef, egg whites, not the egg yolk, but the egg whites. The egg yolk is actually a good fat. So I will attach to this lesson the food exchange list, which is a list of all of your proteins, all of your carbohydrates, and all of your fats. The carbohydrates will also be categorized in the fast digesting, medium digesting, and slow digesting carb. So our carbs are going to be what we play with the most based on our most active time of day. Our fats are going to also be something that we use for energy. So with macros, our protein is there to support our lean muscle mass. It's very satiating. It keeps you satisfied longer, and it keeps us from atrophying. If, say, you got really, really sick and you didn't eat something for 2 or 3 days and you feel like you went and weighed yourself and you lost like 8 pounds. Well, that 8 pounds is not body fat per se. Could be a little, but it more likely was water is one of them, but lean muscle mass, especially if you hadn't eaten in a few days. So that protein is essential to keeping your lean muscle mass that you have and to growing what you want. So protein staple in every meal we eat is going to have a protein. The next thing we add is something for energy. That's where we have carbs and that's where we have fat. Carbohydrates is the thing that our body burns first. It goes after that first for energy. Actually, the first thing that your body goes for is alcohol. If you introduce alcohol to your system, that's what it goes to for energy. But after that, it first goes for your carbohydrates and then it goes for your fats. Your carbs are something your body burns through fairly quickly, depending on the carbohydrate. For example, you have potato. There's a white potato, sweet potato. There are carbs like rice, which are brown rice, and white rice, quinoa. Things like that are considered carbs, and those are all very good for us. None of those should be off limits for us. We do not necessarily gain weight because we had white rice. It's how much white rice are we eating and when are we eating it? So, for instance, if we do a workout and we need to fuel our bodies with a protein, which would be a protein shake, and a carbohydrate, we want a slow digesting carbohydrate to sustain us through that workout so that it burns slowly and we don't get gassed in the middle of our workout. So something slow would be oats, a sweet potato. That's more of a medium, but I still like it. Oats is a great pre-workout carbohydrate. Your body burns that very slowly. Whole wheat toast. Things like that are going to be our pre-workout carb. And I'll give you a whole list of them, but for time's sake, those are two of the most staple carbohydrates that you would have that are slow because we need that energy to be released slowly so we can get through the workout. What kind of carb would we have after we work out? A fast one, because you guys ever work out and you're just super shaky and you're nauseous and you don't feel well? It's because we've just burned all of the glycogen in our muscles. So what we need to do is replenish that and replenish that fast. So we're going to do something that it doesn't take any time for our body to process. So white rice, white potato. There's some supplements that you could even add instead of eating those carbs. You could drink them in your post-workout shake. It's called Glycofuse. It's just a scoop. So those are, I actually even have some Rice Krispie treats. If I'm desperate, I'll eat one of those. It's fast, it's got sugar. And that's what we're trying to get back into our body is that glycogen. Bananas, any fruit that's higher in sugar is a great fast digesting carb. I would plan those after workouts typically. It would not be the first thing I eat in the morning because what's going to happen? You're going to spike and then you're going to crash, especially if you didn't pair that with a protein. And we're going to have more talks about this. We are going to be on our group calls and we will be able to dive more into your personalized questions on when to eat what. But I just want to give you a basic foundation of this. Fats, let's talk about fats. That's what your body goes after it burns through all the carbs you've had. Like I said, the egg yolk, that's a fat. That's about 5 or 6 grams of fat is one egg yolk. Any nut butter is a great fat. In avocado, any oils, coconut oil, olive oil, those are clean fats. Those we want to pair that with our protein more towards the time of day that we're starting to wind down. And that could be different for all of you. It could look different for Sally over here than it is for Joanne if she works the late shift and she's more active when she's about to go off to work at 7 o'clock at night. So that's what I mean by this is all going to be individualized based off of your personal lifestyle and goals. Your goals are going to be huge. Some ask me, is keto best, which is basically little to no carbs. And I've seen a lot of people have success on keto. I've had success on keto. I played around with that myself. I like carbs though. My body and my muscle mass in my body needs carbs. So it's just not going to work for everyone. That's why we want to find what works for each individual one of you. And we'll talk more about that. So you've already done your food diary, or you are in the process of doing your food diary. Now you're understanding, okay, I'm not having near the protein in my diet like I need to have. And that probably means my body is going after my lean muscle mass for energy and for fuel. And if you're under eating, it most definitely is going after your lean muscle mass for fuel because that's the best thing it knows. That's the best thing for that energy. And we're not going to maintain the lean muscle mass. And you know what lean muscle mass does for us is it burns. It puts our metabolic rate at a higher rate. The more muscle mass we have, the more we can eat because the more we burn. So if we're on here and we want to gain lean muscle mass, which I would highly recommend that be part of everyone's goal, because that's going to allow for our diet to increase in calories and keep our body fat low. And we'll get all into that too. I know I feel like I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but if I just could go over what the protein, the carbohydrate, and the fats are, I want to give you an idea of what that is. And every meal has a protein, and then one of the two, carbohydrate or fat, protein and carb, or protein and fat. There are times where I would combine the carbohydrate and the fat. And that would be if, say, I know I'm about to go kill my legs in the gym and I'm going to just need as much energy as possible. I'm not on a weight loss plan right now. I am just all about fueling and feeling the energy for my workout. I would consider having a protein shake or some egg whites, rolled oats, and a nut butter. And I mean, you could put that all in one shake if you like. If you're kind of like me and you just like things simple and I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to show you so many time-saving things that you probably would never have thought to do. I drink egg whites, just not cooked. And there is a place that I get my egg whites that is very good. You can even get organic ones. It's called Muscle Egg. I can put the link in the description too, so that if you're interested in exploring that you can. So now that we've covered what a protein, a fat, and a carbohydrate is, start paying attention to what it is that you are eating. When you go to eat something, maybe look up 4 ounces of chicken. How many macros is that of protein? How many grams of that is protein? And start really educating yourself when you go to a restaurant. Look at your plate and identify what the protein is, the carbohydrate, and if there's a fat. And there are vegetables I consider a free macro. Aside from a few special ones, that is, yes, a carb, but it's dietary fiber. And if you've ever calculated what your net carbs are, you take the total carbs. If you look on the back of a package and you take your total carbs, and then right under that, it says dietary fiber. So say it's 15 carbs, and under that, it's 10 grams of dietary fiber. Your net carb is really only 5. So even though we consider it a carb, it's roughage, it's dietary fiber, and your body processes that differently than it would a carb coming from, say, a potato or a piece of fruit. So I hope that makes sense. And please write down all your questions that you may have had on this video. I think I've explained it pretty well. This is just the basic stuff. We'll get more into detail as we move week through week. So I'm going to attach the exchange list so you can see, like, what is a protein, what is a fat, what is a carb. Some, you wouldn't think. I saw just the other day, there was a meal plan written for someone that had a cheese stick under the carbs. And I honestly would have put that under the fats, and it has some protein in it. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about how we're going to classify some things that have all 3 of those macros in it. So like, peanut butter has a little bit of protein, but it doesn't belong in the protein column. It belongs in the fat column. Do we count the protein? Absolutely. So when we go to figure your macros in your meal plan, and we say, okay, I'm going to get 22 grams of protein in this meal. I'm going to get 14 grams of fat, and that's what I'm going to pair it, is the protein and the fat. You will calculate that little bit of protein that you have in the peanut butter and put that in your protein column. So we'll talk more. Get your food diary going if you haven't already, and just know that this is all going to gel at some point, and just start kind of being more observant about what you're eating and what macro is it that you're eating. All right, I'll see you guys next time.